Hi everyone, hope everyone is well. This evening I am back playing Dog Boats. It's a solitaire game published by Compass Games. I've done a few videos of this game now on my channel, and it's a game I'm very much enjoying. But this evening I've just rolled for the mission type, and it's a mine laying mission, which I've never done before, so we're going to give that a try. I've got the game all set up on the table, so let's go and have a look. So I've got everything set up. This is the English channel map, and I'll be mostly using this in this playthrough. And then on this particular mission, I've assigned, these are my 4 targets for my MGB squadron. I've got a separate sheet off camera with the MGB all set up. I've got my squadron all set up. And basically I need to move through these zones. So I think I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then down to zone 4, and then move from zone 4 all the way through. And when I get into the red zones, that's when I will be attempting to lay the mines and see how that mechanic works, because that's something I have not done yet in this particular game. And then if I encounter any random events or things like that, then I'll probably, or if I need to move to a different sheet, then I'll show that on camera. How I normally play these type of games on these videos is I'll play the game off camera and I'll talk about the mechanics on camera and what's happened. You don't need to see me rolling all the dice and sifting through charts and things like that. So I think I've got everything set up. I have done another, if you want to see how this is set up on the table, I have another video, a longer video that I did. The first one I did in this series, where I show everything set up on the table. There's quite a lot of, rule books and chart books and player aids, etc., that you do need in this game, but they're all off camera. The camera would be far too zoomed out for me to video effectively. So I'm just focusing on this particular thing, which is my main focus as well. But I will shift the camera around a little bit around the table if it's relevant to the sections I'm talking about in this video. So first things I'm going to be doing is moving my squadron through these zones. So unlikely anything will happen here, to be honest, until I get into the red zone. But I'll play through that, and if anything does, then I'll stop and show what's happening. Now we've been able to move our squadron out from the port all the way down to over here. The only mention of event, really, or then worth calling out, is we did get a random event in this zone here, and as a result of which our wireless has malfunctioned. And a mission's a mission, so we're going to carry on and get into these red zones and lay our mines. But it'd be interesting to see if that has any consequence in this particular mission. Hopefully not. We will find out. So we will now be moving our squadron of boats into the red zones to start laying the mines. Obviously it's along the coast, so there's probably going, there could be some trouble. We'll see. It actually, to be honest with you, and I've mentioned this before in other videos, to get through these zones here, it's just a couple of dice roll on a couple of charts to see if anything of any note happens. Random events can happen. It's very unusual. It's unlikely that they will, but they can. And we didn't see any enemy aircraft in any of these zones, and we didn't hear of any enemy convoys. Now I think from memory, when you're on a mine laying mission, then you deliberately avoid enemy convoys until you've dropped all your mines. So we live in hope that once we've dropped our mines, we may come across an enemy convoy that we can engage in combat. But we'll see. So anyway, next I shall move into the red zones. So now we're into the red zone, and we have been successful in laying the mines from the squadron. Basically, if you don't encounter anything in the zone, you can lay the mines. And this particular section in the rule book, the charts book for this particular boat, E1B, does a really good job of explaining to you the process that you go through. So there was no enemy there, nothing untoward's happened. So the mines have been laid, and now that I've done that, I can now go and check the other targets for enemy convoys. So, and I will make a start. I think I'm going to check this one as well. I already rolled to see if there were any here before putting down the mines. I think actually maybe I will just double check. I think actually you probably, in my imagination, doing this particular mission, I think the amount of time it takes to lay the mines, which for my squadron, I think I will then check to see if there's if there are any enemies here in this zone again before moving to each zone. Quite thematic, I feel. And we'll just roll the dice and see if there are any in the zone, and then we'll move to each zone and see if there are any enemy convoys. Hopefully we can find a convoy target, but if not, we have laid the mine successfully, and we'll just go to these zones and do the rolls. Now, in the final zone, the other zones didn't have nothing untowards happened. Didn't see any enemy aircraft or any enemy convoys or warships or anything like that. But in the final zone we have, and I've rolled on the necessary tables to just establish what is in this convoy. We've got a small cargo with a veteran crew. We've got a flak lighter with a green crew. So now we'll be moving into combat with our squadron of MGBs. This one's upside down for some reason. And to see if we will probably engage the warship first. See if we can inflict necessary damage before attacking the merchant ship over hopefully a series of rounds. Now, obviously, there is a possibility that it might not go well. The last playthrough I did, we had a very tempting target that we thought we would make short work of, but we did in the end. But we disabled one of our MGB boats. So hopefully this time it will go a little bit better, a little bit more according to plan. We will see. So what I'll do, I'll roll the necessary dice and just talk through how the combat is unfolding. Now, after the first round of combat, we've got our squadron of boats at fast speed to move into the medium range, and they put down quite a lot of successful fire onto the flak boat here, and we're able to remain undetected, which is unusual, but they got the die roll they needed. So, and they've inflicted some damage, not enough to sink it yet, but certainly enough to, I think we're about halfway along the flooding, not quite, on the flooding damage, and a little bit of systems damage to it as well. And I've just rolled to see if everyone stays in combat in the area, which they do. They weren't able to evade. So we'll run through a second round of combat. Maybe move the boats up for the kill, I think. Why not be a bit aggressive? Move into close range and see. There's always a risk with doing that, of course. But it's only one warship. I feel confident. Why not? Let's give it a try. Move into close range and see if the boats. Now at this point, we will be doing is I'll put chits into a cup for each of the boats in combat, and then it's there's a bit more it's unpredictable who's going to attack who and when. Hopefully we'll be on our side, but we've got good odds, I think. We'll see. Now, as you can see, I've moved the camera to look at our gunboat number 1 sheet, which we have here, and there's a reason for that. So in that combat round, unfortunately for gunboat number 1, it took some significant fire from that flak vessel, which has resulted in gun crew number 1 here, which arms that gun there. You should just be able to see that. And that seaman has unfortunately taken a serious wound and has had to go below decks here into one of the rest beds. And that gun is now unmanned as a result. And to make matters worse, no matter what the other boats did, they couldn't sink the offending a German vessel. So basically, it's a good example of where you push your luck sometimes, and sometimes it pays, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it has not paid out. The German vessel has taken a lot of damage. Now, Also, in that particular round, I moved the squadron into close range on the combat board, which is just off camera. So now I have to break off from combat and get this our injured crew member back to port, and hopefully can make some recovery. However, I've checked the rules and I'm pretty sure, and certainly this is how I'm going to play the game this evening, because I'm in close range. I have to move the boats to medium range before they can break off that attack. So we're going to do one more round. This boat will still engage the enemy ships, watercraft, etc., but with one less gun. The other three are totally fine at the minute. Those German flak vessels, they roll quite a lot of dice that I found out the hard way about when they target your ships, so, or your boats, I should say. So yeah, we're going to do one more round at medium range, and then we'll let the squadron break off and hopefully head back home on the map. But we're going to do that combat round next, and then I'll roll the dice and I'll tell you how it's panned out. Hopefully none of those boats or crewmen will be injured. We'll find out. Now, in the last combat round, we were able to sink that flak vessel, and that all worked out okay. I mean, we do have an injured crewman, well, seriously wounded crewman. So we now need to make our way post haste back to port. So we need to move through these zones here, and hopefully that will be uneventful. And if we do come across any enemy convoys, we will do our very best to not engage them. It's just if we hit any random events or any enemy aircraft, for example. But we have been successful in that we've laid our mines and we've sunk a enemy vessel. We managed to get some good die rolls in that last round of combat and sink the vessel. Not able to sink the cargo ship, though, unfortunately. But now with that injured crewman, we need to make our way back home, back to port. So I'll roll through these zones. Now we've managed to make it back to port, and the mission is over. And nothing of any great event. There actually was I did encounter a potential convoy, but we didn't engage, obviously, because we've got our wounded crewman. So back to port we go. Otherwise, the squadron definitely would have done. And now I need to update this crewman status sheet. So you get a whole pad of these in the game, and basically it's where you record the name of all your crewmen, their start date, and any enemy kills, etc. And unfortunately, gun crew number 1, I rolled the dice to see what happened to Robert Martin, is his name. And able-bodied seaman Martin unfortunately lost his life as a result of the wounds he incurred. So he rolled on a table to see if he could recover. Unfortunately, he did not, and unfortunately not. So we will need a new gun crewman ready for the next mission. So I will need to make a record of that and pop it in my journal, as well as update that sheet there. Then in terms of the victory points for this game, we obviously, because we lost an MGB number 1 crewman KIA, we lose 25 points. But we did successfully lay our mines, which I believe gives us 75 points with a special mission completed. And we were able to kill the flak lighter for 200 points for that. Which is not insignificant. So overall, I suppose you could say it was successful, but we don't like to lose any of our crew. In terms of the victory points, yeah, it's some. I think I worked it out to be 250 in the end. Victory points on our campaign log. So I've made a note of that, and I'll sort out rolling up a new crewman and get everything ready for the next mission. And the way the game works is that you'll roll to see if anything happens on the next mission, etc. So I will go through and start rolling up for the next missions and see if there's a mission that we will be taking part in, and hopefully finding and engaging the enemy. So until next time, thank you for watching. As always, if I have covered this game on another couple of videos, so I've done an unboxing, I've done another playthrough. The other playthrough was just a different type of mission, an operational patrol mission. This being the Minelaying Mission. And I look forward to getting this back onto the table. Well, it's actually the minute it's staying on the table, I'll be honest with you. So I look forward to making another video of another mission in the future. If you've played the game, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you've played, there are 2 other games by the same designer using the same sort of mechanics. There's Devil Dogs, I think it's Devil Boats, I think it's called, set in the Pacific, and there's a German one as well that I forget the name off the top of my head. But if you've played either of those, I'd be interested in any thoughts. I do believe, unfortunately, this game is now out of print, or you can't get it from Compass Games. So I don't know if that's right or not. But if you are interested in learning more about the game, then I would check out the BGG page, of course, as well as Compass Games website. But thanks a lot for watching. I really enjoyed this mission, as I'm really enjoying this game. It's really strong in its narrative, and you could see that into this evening's playthrough, I think. And I look forward to get back on the table again. Thanks a lot for watching, as always. Thank you.